This is Dr. Matt Barber of Alabama Orthopedic Clinic. We are proud supporters of Ransom Reprogram, Ransom Ministries, and all of the good work that they do in our community. If you would like to learn more about us, check us out at alortho.com or barbertotaljoint.com. You can also hear more from me personally on the Ortho Real podcast. Thank you again for allowing us to be involved with Ransom Ministries and all of the great work that they do.
Do you know someone who's struggling? Someone who continues to make the wrong decisions? Could that someone be you? Have you had a problem in the past of making decisions that afterwards you were just like, why did I do that? Have you ever wanted to get help and didn't really know how? Have you ever wanted to help someone in that situation and really not understood how to do it? Did you ever ask yourself, why do I keep making these decisions? Or why do they keep making those decisions? We're going to take some time to explore and see this world through eyes we've never looked through and shoes we've never walked in. These are the sons and daughters made in His image with the potential to positively impact our community. This is raw, this is real, and this is Ransom.
With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
This show is brought to you by Ransom Recycling, your number one choice for electronic recycling in Mobile, Alabama. Help reduce waste in our landfills by recycling all of your unwanted, unused, and non-working electronics. Ransom Recycling is a division of Ransom Ministries that is helping to put men and women back to work. Check out ransomministries.com for a complete list of acceptable items. Drop-offs and pickups can be easily scheduled through the website. Please note that we are not accepting TVs at this time. Ransom Recycling, open 8 to 3 Monday through Friday. Help our planet while helping men and women re-enter the workforce.
With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
Hey, I wanted to welcome you to the Ransom Experience. This is our 25th episode. So I was kind of deciding what I was going to do on the 25th. Most people told me we wouldn't make it this long, so I thought it'd be a good time to go through some of our interviews and just kind of give you an update. You know, we at Ransom Ministries, we are able to get to know many people throughout this, and their stories are a big part of what we do. Is we learn their stories and learn how we can move forward and let them move forward, and we can learn from each one to the next one. So I thought it'd be a good time to sit down just by myself and go through each one of these and kind of give you an update on where they are now, the good, the bad, the ugly, because, you know, we understand at Ransom we're not in the fix-it business. We don't fix people. We're just there for people, and we offer different types of tools for them to navigate life the way it is, because many of us know that, man, all of us struggle in different areas of our lives. So I wanted to get started. So in our very first episode, we talked to Christian, who was a young man that came to us through a partnership, and he came on and he even said in his interview that he didn't know what he was getting into. I'll be honest, when I first met him, I didn't know how it was going to work out. This young guy that had been through a lot, had a lot hanging over his head with some legal issues. And so he started out with us, and man, he did an amazing job throughout the whole program. We went through all the different classes, and he learned different ways to deal with anger and the different things going on in his life and trying to fit in with those around him. So along the way, you know, we thought, man, he would be a great addition to our staff, and he could help us, and he could work in the shop, and he would be a great encouragement to those that are coming in the program after him. Well, then once he got into that position, we saw how great he was, and he was going to one of our where we take some of our recycle stuff, and they noticed a lot in him. They noticed that he was a great worker, that he was very trustworthy, so they wanted him to come work for him. So this was ASM Recycling, and he came to me and he goes, you know, man, I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave you hanging. And I said, man, you got to go where you need to, where you feel like you're led to go. So he went to work for ASM, and We do see him weekly when we bring stuff over there, and he's really moving up. I've talked to the owners over there. They're very happy with him. He's doing a great job, making more money than I could pay him. And he's also working through some of his legal issues. He's still waiting on different things. And there's a lot of frustration with that because he'll go to court and then they'll extend it. He's been like 3 or 4 times and they keep extending it, changing it, moving it to another date. And he's getting kind of frustrated, but he's staying focused on his goals and what he needs to do. And so I've been real happy with Christian. He's just been a great role model to those that are going through our program, and I'm real happy with him. Then in episode 2, we talked to Julie, who had come through our partnership with the Home of Grace, and she's doing really well. She had a little setback where she kind of had a slip up, and then we got her on with another partner of ours and also a board member of ours, Clifford Waite, who owns Waite's Cleaners, and she went to work for him, and she's been there for a good period of time right now, and she's doing a wonderful job for him. She stayed there. She's working through it. She was living in a transition house, and now she's got her own place, and she's doing really well. That doesn't mean she doesn't have problems outside, and she works through those, but the tools she learned through Reprogram have really helped her to deal with all the different things that are coming at her through being in the workforce. And she said in her interview that she was having to learn how to live again, live sober, because she had never worked sober. And so far, she's doing a great job. We're real happy with what she's been doing. And I really feel like that she has great things ahead of her. So Julie's doing really good. Then we have episode 5 where we talked to James. And James came from a life of addiction to alcohol, had not seen his kids a whole lot, and just was really struggling. And then he went through the course, and he'll tell you that he learned that he could work sober and he could do the things he needed to do. And he was doing a great job, and he got a job straight out of graduation from us, working for a company called Port City Industrial. And I was real encouraged by it. He was doing a great job. They were telling me that, man, he was going to be a leadership, and they were real happy with him. Had a company truck, and was just moving forward. And then come the holidays. And if any of you know anything about addiction and struggles, the holidays are the worst time for them. And we've learned that through doing what we do here. And the holidays came along. He has kids that live in Louisiana, and they were supposed to come for Christmas. So he spent a good bit of money on presents and things for them and had a plan for them to go have a good time. And then the kids weren't able to come, and he just couldn't handle that. A lot of times we get to a point where we just don't understand how to handle the hard parts in our life, and that's what we kind of teach in our class, but you can only teach so much. You still got to make those decisions. And James had a rough time with that, and he started drinking again, and he was in his camper. He had bought him all these presents, and he sent me texts saying, "Oh, I just can't do this anymore." He was angry. This was in January. It was actually right after New Year's, and pretty much cut himself off from the world. And we try to tell our students that, hey, the worst thing you can do is isolate, to get yourselves away. And that's what he did. He just isolated himself in his camper, started drinking, and pretty much self to death. And he sent me pictures, and he still had the presents all lined up on his table, waiting for his kids to come. And it was just too much for him to handle. And that's what we've realized through these programs, is that many times we can't cover everything, and we don't know what life's going to bring them. And we can only tell them how to deal with it, but in the end, it's up to them to deal with it. And James just couldn't deal with it. He didn't know how to deal with it. He came to visit me about 2 months in, and I didn't even recognize him. If anything know about alcohol addiction, it can really destroy you physically and as well as mentally. And also he had family members that were feeding that and not wanting to see him hurt and not wanting to see him. So they would actually buy the alcohol for him. And if any of you are out there dealing with people that are in addiction, that's the worst thing you can do, is enable them. Sometimes we don't want to see people hurt, but in the end, it hurts them worse when we enable them and we help them keep that addiction going. And so James, I haven't heard from him in about a month and a half. I've been reaching out to him, texting him. I think he's still struggling. I'm hoping that he's alive, and that really is frustrating at times because we do a lot of work, but in the end, why are we doing the work? Are we doing it because we want recognition, that we want people to succeed, we want a notch in our belt, we want whatever? If those are the reasons, then we're doing it for the wrong ones. So all we can do is rest assured that we gave the tools we needed to give, and then we be there and pray for them and be with them when they decide that they've had enough and they want to try to get out of it again. So we continue to pray for James, and I continue to lift him up and reach out to him and let him know we're still here. But ultimately, it's going to have to be his choice. And that's, if you're dealing again with anybody dealing with addiction to anything, that it's going to have to be their choice. And you can't take that on yourself, because if you carry that burden, it's going to destroy you as well, because it makes you feel like a failure. It makes you feel, and I learned a long time ago that, we're here to serve God, and whatever we do, we have to trust God to see it through. And I know that no seed that's put out there doesn't produce. Some of it might fall on some rocky soil or whatever, but ultimately, we hope that eventually that seed will take sprout. And that's all we can do. That's all you can do. That's all anyone out there dealing with people in addiction or struggles can do, is plant the seeds, be there for them, and listen. So we really we ask that you continue to pray for James so that he can pull out of this situation. Then we got in episode 6, we talked to Lindsay. Lindsay is an awesome young woman who has taken what she's learned and she's really using it out there in the world. She works for Rouse's. She had a lot of positive growth, moving from entry level to the deli assistant to the deli manager. And now she's training to be a peer specialist, which is someone that helps people go through addiction or any kind of thing like that. So she's training to be certified in that so that she can eventually help those people that were just like her. And I remember Lindsay telling me, there's no way that I'll ever do anything but work fast food and have a dead-end job. That's all I'll ever do. And to see her growing is just an amazing situation. And I see her, and I'm so happy with where she's going. She's also leading worship on her worship team at church. She's really staying busy. And one thing that we teach also in Reprogram is that you have to stay in touch. You have to stay plugged in. You can't just isolate yourselves and think you got it all figured out, because none of us have it figured out. We need those around us. We need that community. We need the team to help us get through those things. And I think Lindsay really has bought into that, and she's really doing it, and she's surrounding herself by good people, and it's helped her. And it's evident in her walk with not only God, but just walking this world, that she has surrounded herself by people that will feed her with positivity, but also feed her with truth. And we're thankful for her. And then we have Josie, that was in episode 9, who came through the Home of Grace as well. And she went through a lot of stuff in her life and her family. And she could easily have said, I'm done with this. I can't never make it. I'm worthless. But she's moved on. She also works at Rouse's, and she's moving up, and she's learned floral, and she's done different things, and she's surrounding herself again by people that can feed into her well-being and be positive influences in her life. And we've seen that she's been, reconciled with some of her family, and we see that she's doing a great job, and that's encouraging to us, but also it gives us stories to tell those students that are coming through that, hey, it can be done, but you just got to take the things that you learned through Ransom Reprogram and through other areas of your life, and you need to apply them. You need to take it, and you need to be very intentional about what you do and who you surround yourself by and where you are. So Josie's doing a great job. And then we have Marquise, who was in episode 10. He went to prison when he was 17. He was there 7 years. He talked a lot about how he was angry, how he didn't think things would ever go better. But then he realized, hey, it's all about me. It's what I do, the changes in me, and I got to do this. And during the time here, and, we talked about, me and him butted heads a lot, and we became really good friends, and I respect him so much. And I've seen he hooked up with Bishop State, and they had a program for heavy construction. And so he went into that program and got to go to school, and he's got a job with a heavy equipment company At the same time, he's still going to school, trying to get his CDLs and do all the different things he needs to do to be successful in the career that he's chose. And he just has been consistent. I know he graduates in June from the construction program. And then, I just feel like he's going to do a great job. He's going to be a great influence to those around him, to young kids, and to people that were brought up the way he was and thought that that was the way of life, chasing the dollar, doing what he needs to do to make it, and walking over whoever he can. But now he is seeing that, working a job and doing the things that he needs to do are really where it's at. So we're so proud of Marquise and what he's been coming there. And you can go back and listen to all these episodes and hear where they were. And then we have Robin was in episode 13, and Robin continues to move forward in her walk with God and move her passions. And I know her passion is exercise, and she's wanting to open her own gym, and she's doing a lot of things towards that. And Robin is also from the Home of Grace, and we've seen some great things through her. And we know that she's going to do great. So we're really proud of her as well. And then in episode 14, we talked to Gina, and Gina had a pretty good life when she was younger and just got hooked up with the wrong guys and things and got into drugs and doing all the different things. And she sent me a note the other day and said, "Hey, I bought me a new car. The last time I had a nice car was I had to sell it to the dope man because I owed him money." And she goes, "This is a great step for me to buy my own car and not have to worry about the dope man taking it or me spending too much money and not being able to pay for it." And Gina's got a job now where her employer really is impressed with her, and she's doing a great job with that. And then in episode 15, we talked to Jessica, and Jessica was a home health person, and she had, at the time of the interview, she had lost her job. And we were looking at, she was struggling really hard. And God kind of came through with her on a few things. I mean, he even got someone that got paid her rent that she was behind on. She then got a job. She's now searching for more jobs, because if you know anything about the home health care, it goes up and down, but she's very good because she's a compassionate person. But Jessica has remained faithful, remained seeking God, using the tools and the gifts she learned through Reprogram and through the Home of Grace to overcome the obstacles that are set before each of us. Every one of us has troubles. Every one of us has obstacles, and each one of us handle it different ways. You can handle it in a positive way and you can move forward, or you can handle it in a negative way and you can move backwards. That's really the only choices you have, really. And then in episode 17, we talked to Brian. Brian went through a lot of loss in his life. He was in a bad accident. He could hardly walk, and he's walking. And as I got to know Brian, I realized Brian had a heart for people and wanted to help them move forward. So after much prayer and consideration, we brought Brian on as our shop foreman. He actually now... we're in our next class. We have 9 people in it, and he is actually running the shop. He organizes the daily work. He oversees the guys and the ladies, and he works with them and shows them ways. And I'm using that opportunity to mentor him as a leader so that he can know how to lead, how to talk to people, and how to use his position to help others. And Brian is doing an amazing job. He actually opens up every morning for me. He comes in and gets everything ready, makes the coffee, gets the stuff ready. He sits in circle time. He talks, he shares. Each of our guys and ladies that are in this next group have a respect for him. And also he's built up his confidence where he can see that he can do this. He doesn't have to be anxious. He doesn't have to be worried. And I really think that came through all the classes that we do here, and teaching people character and teaching people that we are fearfully and wonderfully made and that we're made with a purpose. And so Brian is on a fast track to really helping me expand the ministry, but also giving me the opportunity to do the things that I need to do where I'm not having to run the shop all the time. And that's been a great asset for me as well. And then in episode 20, we talked to Dylan. Dylan came from a great family. He went through divorce young, didn't really care about school and smoking pot and doing all that. He really just did that. And one of his things was when we did our 6-month vocational plan, he wanted to get into pest control. So through our staffing arm that we just launched this year, or actually this month, he was able to go to work for a place called Bama Pest Control. And he's now part of our staffing group, employment, and we're staffing him out to this this company. And he's been working there for right over a month now and doing a really good job with them. And they were really impressed with him. And we're hoping then it's going to turn into a permanent job. This is a great opportunity through this staffing thing for us, is that we can put our people out there and let people take a chance on them and not have to, and they can kind of try them out before they actually hire them and see that they are wonderful people and that we have trained them to be good employees and to show up on time and do the things they need to do. So Dylan is probably eventually going to be a leader for them as well, but he's doing really good with that. And then we have Ethan, which is in episode 21. And Ethan is a young guy, 19 years old, who has been through a lot, went through alcoholism, drugs, a lot of things just to kill pain from his past of being abused as a child, and also his family members, his mom and dad being drug addicts. And he has moved forward, and he is also now in our staffing arm of Ransom called Ransom Staffing Services. And he has been working at a warehouse with Merchants Transfer, which is a company that's partnered with us to take some of our staffing guys and letting them work in their warehouse, either forklift driving, cleaning, doing whatever they need to do. So he's been over there for a little over a month, and he shows up every day. He's been there. And I had a meeting with this Merchants the other day. I went to their manager meeting, and they're very impressed with the guys that we've sent them. And this has nothing to do with me or has nothing to do with Ransom. It has to do with them buying in to those tools that we've given them and using them and making themselves stand out in the job market. And so Ethan is doing a great job. He's growing so much. He hadn't really worked a whole lot in his life, so he's learning how to work and how to do the things he's supposed to. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Ethan does, and he's doing a great job so far. Then in episode 23, we brought you Krishan. Krishan is a bright guy that smiles, lights up the room whenever he comes in. Did a great job. We had him working a company. He had a little setback. We had set up a staffing job for him. But see, one thing we teach in here is character. And one of those character traits is honesty. So I was sending him over to this job, and he came to me, and he was honest with me and said that he had slipped up and smoked some pot, and he wouldn't pass the drug test. So we had a talk, and I talked with him, and I helped him, and we worked through it. And I told him he could work here at the recycling again until we could get him a clean drug test. So he passed his drug test about a week ago, and he went back into our staffing arm, and we took him out, and he's working over at Merchants and doing a great job. He's showing up. He's doing what he's supposed to, testing him periodically to make sure we're still there. But one thing that I really loved about what Krishan did is it showed me that he really is buying into this whole thing about being a person of character, because he didn't have to tell me that. And I might not have tested him at that time, but he did. He couldn't hold it from me. And I'm very honored that that was how he could do it. So I'm proud of Krishan. Then in episode 24, which is just last week, we had Caleb. Caleb had a life of crime. He went to prison. He did a lot of things. He was struggling with a lot of self-worth and all that, and he was doing really good. He got the dream job. His dream job was working for a tree company. He always wanted to get back into that, so we got him a job with a tree company. He staffed out with him for a little while, and then he got hired on full time. And then one day he went back home for just I think it was a weekend, and it kind of all fell apart. He didn't show up to work the next 2 days. He lost that job. He was very embarrassed, disappointed in himself. And so he kind of isolated himself and wouldn't call nobody, wouldn't talk to nobody. And then I finally got a hold of him, and I said, listen, man, he had been drinking, so he hadn't had any drug issues at that time. So he could pass a drug test. So I brought him into the staffing arm, which, again, I really believe that staffing is God-given, because that if that wouldn't be there, I wouldn't be able to plug these guys back into that and let them go work and get their feet back on them, but also have an accountability where they can be there as well. So Caleb went into staffing, and he just still hadn't dealt with all the issues in his life. And I just heard today that he went back to the waterfront, but he went to the Pensacola one, and he's going to try to get his life back together. But that again goes back to the network that he had, because those people, we're here to love them. We're not here to judge them. We're not here to throw them away. We're here to love them. Sometimes loving them is being hard. We can't always just say, oh, it's okay, we're going to move on. Sometimes you have to say, no, you're not going to be able to do this, And I had to tell him, I can't work you anymore. I can't work you into staffing because right now I just don't have a trust for you. You have to build that back up. And he's willing to do that now, I think, by making that move. And hopefully, he'll plug back in and he'll move on, and he'll take some of those things that we've planted in him and he'll use those. So we're really just praying for Caleb. We hope you keep praying for him. But as I go through these, I realize, man, there is a lot of people that done well and are doing well and are continuing to do well. We have James and Caleb that are struggling a little bit. We had some that struggled along the way, but we were there to catch them, or they were there to reach out because they felt like they could. That's an important thing when you're dealing with addiction, you're dealing with people reentering society from prison, is that they have to know they have a network they can fall back on. So that's what Ransom Ministries is we're their network. We're their safety net, I guess, for lack of a better word, that, hey, you know what? Ransom people are not going to judge you. We're just going to be there to help you. Are we going to tell you the truth? Yes, we're going to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you you need to straighten up and you need to do what you're supposed to. But ultimately, we're here to love you and we're here to care for you, even through those crappy times. And so I hope you understand kind of what Ransom is. Ransom started out as a feeding ministry back in 2010, and then we realized, there's more to it than that. We want to try to help people get work. We want to try to help people move on. And we've done that through Ransom Reprogram and Ransom Recycling and now Ransom Staffing. And I really think there'll be more things come along that we can really help people do well. I'm hoping the staffing thing will able to keep some of the people that we need to for at least a year so they can get used to showing up and doing what they're supposed to on the job. And ultimately, I hope that we're here to help companies put people into their organizations that are quality people, that have ethics and that are people of character, and that they can trust that by the people that we're putting out there.
As you can see, Ransom Ministries has a lot of partners throughout our community, whether that be Waterfront Rescue Mission, whether that be Home of Grace, whether that be the Pardons and Paroles. We all work together to try to get these individuals back into the workforce as well as back to providing for their families. We at Ransom strive to empower people to use the God-given gifts that they've been given through their jobs to become vital parts of our community and give back to the community that they live in.
So I'm so excited when I go through these, and really hopefully you are too. I hope you go back and listen to all the episodes and see where each of these people were and what they learned through this, and then see where they are now. And we'll do this periodically as we'll give you a little update on where they are. But it's exciting for me to go back and really talk to them and reach out to them and see that they're still doing well. And even the ones that aren't doing well, I've learned again long ago that we're not in the fix-it business. We are in the community. We're in to build community and build love and build a safety net for these guys and women so that they can know that even when we slip up, even when we mess up, they're still there to love me. And that's what we want to get out of this. So I hope you enjoyed me going through this. I hope I didn't rattle on too much, but mostly I just wanted you to know where people were. I'm excited that this is our 25th episode, and I see many, many more. We could hopefully get better. We're gonna do the things and hopefully get more people to listen. Y'all share this with your friends, because I think these stories are encouraging to those out there, not only the people that are going through and struggling, but also those that are trying to help people that are struggling. See, the thing is, and I'm going to leave this with this, is that we at Ransom, we believe that there's stages to helping people. The first stage is the relief stage, just giving people relief. You can think of it as in an area of a tornado or a hurricane. When that hurricane or tornado hits, then people need help right then. So we bring water, we bring food, we bring all this stuff. When these guys come out of addiction or come out of prison, they need help right then. They need a job. They need rapid attachment, because it's proven that if they don't rapidly attach to a job or something or to a community, they're going to go back to where they were and it's eventually back to prison. So that's that stage. And then you move into the rehabilitation stage where we're moving them from where they are to where they used to be, like to back to where they were. That's rehabilitation. And then the development is taking them beyond what they even think they can do and becoming a person of character and having that career. It's kind of like that when the tornado hits. If all you did was keep bringing food and water to those people, they never would rehabilitate their community back to where it was. But once they rehabilitate it, then they develop it so they don't have, in case this happens again, they know what to do and they know they're there. And that's what we want to do with the people we serve, is we want to start developing them on and character traits that they can deal when they fall, when they do things that they're not supposed to, how to deal with it, not just run from it, not just isolate, but reach out to those around you. So hopefully you got something out of this episode. Again, share it with your friends, rate us, subscribe to our podcast, and listen next week as we bring you some more stories of those people that we serve with, but also people that are serving alongside us. And we're so happy that you have listened to us, and we can't wait to see what God does through us. And until then, I'll see you next week.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. With